We have so many questions about the suspect right now. Our investigative reporter, Ryan Raish, has been sifting through some videos that were posted online under the suspected shooter's name, reading through a letter connected to the shooter. Ryan, we've got you live in the newsroom right now. Tell us more about what you're learning.
Yeah, so far from what we can tell, there are really two key videos that were posted on YouTube under Robin Westman's name. Again, Robin is identified as the suspected shooter. These videos have since been taken down, but I want to show you a couple key moments and a warning. These are graphic and upsetting, and we're doing our best here to try to bring you the information while also being sensitive to what just happened. So if we can back up and show this soundbite, if you guys can hear me in the control room still, if we can back up and show the sound attached when the shooter is talking. Are you guys able to do that?
Tomorrow, I'm sorry to my family. But that's it. That's the only people I'm sorry to. Those kids.
Obviously, really upsetting stuff. At one point, the person shows a smoke bomb, which we know from police that was also used during the attack. He also shows a black shirt. You see it right there, which also has a Minnesota patch. There it is right there, which police have also referenced. So much of this, you guys, matches what we've heard from police so far in this attack. Obviously, we have many more questions. Again, this is one of several videos posted on YouTube at some point this morning. We're not sure on the exact time of all this because, again, all of them have been taken down. We're going to go through all of these videos, try to pull out what we can and bring to you as we learn them.
Oh, Ryan Raish, this is awful.
Man, to see that and to hear that.
Bullets, rounds, profanity being used about children who became victims today.
Yeah. And Leah, as you pointed out earlier, you know, the big question here is obviously motive and why this particular school. And there's about 20 minutes of video that I've gone through so far, different clips. I haven't seen yet a direct reference to the school. Why these kids? Here the person is showing off the guns again. And the other question here, which I think you may have heard in that clip, is when was this filmed? When was it posted? There's a reference to tomorrow. So, you know, we assume that it was filmed possibly yesterday. The data online shows this was posted sometime this morning. We don't know exactly when. We do know it was taken down around 11:30 this morning. We were able to grab that before it was taken down. But again, you guys have talked about it. The big question is why this school? Yeah. Obviously, he lived nearby. We think maybe a relative may have worked there previously. But there's still so many questions. Hopefully we learn some more of this here in the next few minutes.
Ryan, this video, you said you've been through 20 minutes. How long is it? So
there's one clip about 10 minutes long going through. It's very rambling. Some of it is in no tie to what's about to happen. And then there's another clip which is showing, you guys saw that letter or manifesto. There's another one that's similar to that, but it's in a totally different language, until you get to the very end where there's this map. You mentioned ABC News has kind of referenced this map, possibly of pews. We'll show that a little later on this afternoon. We're still going through that, but that's about 5-10 minutes as well.
My name is Brian O'Hara, BRIAN, O''HARA. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you. With that, the investigation is obviously in its preliminary stages, and I will attempt to take some questions to provide further information.
Chief, what can you tell us about the suspect in this case? How old was he? Any kind of motivation? Any notes or any other information that he left behind?
So we were looking, the question was, what can be said about the shooter? We believe it is one suspect, a sole shooter. We believe he is deceased. He is in his early 20s, does not have an extensive known criminal history. And we are looking through information left behind to try and determine some type of motive. Yeah.
How many kids at the school? How many kids at the school?
How many children? I don't have an exact, the question was how many children at the school. There were dozens of children inside the mass at the time. I don't have an exact count. The children have been relocated into the school, which is where their families are reunifying with them.
Do we know if the shooter, other than the weapon, was the shooter a student, former student? Was he a former employee? Do we know that?
The question was, do we know if the shooter was a former school employee or a former student? We don't have that information.
Did you leave anything behind other than the weapon?
There's a vehicle. The question was anything left behind? There's a vehicle that we believe that the suspect used that is being searched, and we will be conducting other searches related to this. Inside the parking lot here.
There was some neighbors who said that the door to the church had been barricaded.
Yep.
Is that correct?
So the question was, neighbors had said that the door to the church had been barricaded. The shooter approached on one side of the church building, and on that side, at least 2 doors, it appears there had been like a 2x4 placed. So not all of the doors around the building, but on the side where the shooter did fire.
And on the outside?
On the outside, yes.
And which side? Were there any explosives that were found?
The question was there any explosives? There were reports of that. There were no explosives or improvised devices that we found. I do believe there was one, I guess you would call it a smoke bomb, like not an explosive, but a sort of a firework that would release smoke.
And which side of the building? North, south, east, west?
The side that is closest to us. Here, on this side. Yeah.
Chief, was this incident related to at these nearby homes?
I don't have specific information on that.
Was he dead from a gunshot wound, this suspect?
The question was, is he dead from a gunshot wound? The answer is yes. We believe he took his own life in the parking lot.
Was this outside or both inside that he was shooting?
The question was he shooting outside and inside? He was absolutely shooting outside of the building on the side of the church, inside through the windows. It appears he may have gone inside, but I don't believe we've located any casings inside the building. So I'm not certain if he fired also while inside. It appears, if not all, most of the shooting happened outside the building.
Chief, is this shooting related to any other shootings that happened in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, Taylor's asking, is this related to any of the other shootings? This does not appear to be related to any other shooting in the city.
Do you know approximately how many rounds were fired?
The question was how many rounds? I would say it's in the dozens. We don't have an exact count. There's a sidewalk on the outside as well as a grassy area. So obviously we are going through and taking our time to process the scene.
Was he firing just one weapon, like the rifle? Or?
The question was he firing one weapon? We believe he had fired all three. He had a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol.
Chief, was this individual licensed to conceal and carry? Do you have any background?
Were the weapons, was he lawfully carrying the weapons? I don't have that information. And I don't have any information on any significant criminal history either.
Was he dressed at all in any tactical type of gear or anything?
It appeared he had some black clothing on, his cargo type pants. I guess you could interpret that as, however you like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for helping us to get the information out today.
We also have a new video tonight from a police shooting earlier this month in Moorhead. This video is from August 11th, and it's after a woman called 911 saying she was assaulted by two men she knew at her apartment. You can see officers going in right now, shooting through the door. When officers arrived, they had to ram the door, open it, and were shot at. When they entered the apartment again with backup, two men inside were shot by police. One died there at the scene. The other died at the hospital. No one else was hurt, including two children who were in the apartment at the time. The officers involved are on standard leave. But you see the video and you know how crazy and chaotic it can be inside.
We begin with breaking news this morning and a rash of violence in Minneapolis. 3 deadly shootings in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, this includes a shooting just a handful of hours ago in downtown. And that's where we find our Bailey Hurley live for us right now. You're walking us through what we have confirmed at this hour regarding those two most recent cases, Bailey.
Brittany, Met, we know from Minneapolis police just a short time ago that they're now confirming that the victim in this case here on 8th and Hennepin last night is a man. They also say that another man was injured in this. Police saying that they were called to the scene here, again, 8th and Hennepin, about 2 o'clock in the morning last night. We can show you some video from the scene, what it looked like just earlier this evening, earlier this morning. Investigators do tell us that the victim was in a group standing on the sidewalk when a gunman opened fire at close range and then ran away. So far, no arrests have been made. Now then, just about 2 miles down the road off of East 27th Street and 3rd Avenue South, about 8 o'clock last night, that's where we have also learned that one man, again, was shot and killed. Another was injured. You can see in some of the video here from the scene, at least 20 evidence markers were found here on the ground. You can also see officers focusing a lot of their energy and a lot of their attention around a vehicle there on the scene. Police telling us so far no arrests have been made in that case as well. Now, we do know, you can see police still working very hard at the scene here, also really working to put a lot of these pieces together. They say that they're still working to learn if any of these 3 cases, this one here on 8th and Hennepin, the one on East 27th, or the large shooting that happened yesterday afternoon, if any of them are connected or not. We'll keep you updated as we continue to learn more on this very developing situation. Reporting this morning in downtown Minneapolis, Bailey Hurley, Eyewitness News on 45.
We do begin with breaking news this morning. 3 deadly shootings in less than 24 hours in Minneapolis, a string of violence that's frightened people in several neighborhoods.
Yeah, that does include one shooting in just the last few hours in downtown, plus still no arrests in 2 other shootings in South Minneapolis, including one that happened right in the middle of the day. 1 person was killed and 6 others were injured. More on that one in a moment. First, though, we want to go to Bailey Hurley, who's live at the scene in downtown with what we know about these 2 latest incidents, Bailey.
Megan, Chris, Minneapolis police confirming with us just within the last hour that here on 8th and Hennepin, one person has died and another person is hurt. I actually just spoke with a witness. He still had blood on his pants after he says he tried to give CPR to the victim here. Unfortunately, was unsuccessful, saying that that person was his friend and was hanging out with him just moments before all of this gunfire erupted, saying he heard at least 7 shots. If you take a look behind me, though, you can see, and we'll zoom in here for you, these evidence markers were just put down within the last 15 minutes or so. We're counting at least 11, but there's also alphabetic letters that are on the ground here. We can see some of the shell casings. Still, you can see a very active scene here again on 8th and Hennepin. We do know Minneapolis police responded here just after 2 o'clock this morning. All we know right now is that they came here on a report of a shooting. What led up to this, if there are any suspects that are identified or any arrests, that information is something that we are expecting to learn more from police later this morning. And we're also expecting to learn more about another shooting that happened just about 2 miles down the road. This one off of East 27th Street and 3rd Avenue South. You can see in some of this video here from the scene at least 20 evidence markers on the ground at that scene, likely again marking shell casings there on the ground. You can also see officers were focusing a lot of their attention around a vehicle. Investigators confirming with us that they were called to that scene about 8 o'clock Tuesday night. At least one person there killed by gunfire. At this hour, though, we are still working to learn more about that victim and if there were any others as well, if there's a suspect or any persons of interest in that case. MPD say that they are still working right now to determine if this shooting scene is connected to the other one from last night or if either of these scenes are connected to the large shooting that happened yesterday afternoon. Again, a lot of pieces still trying to be put together here by investigators. MPD does tell us that they are expecting to release much more information on this scene here on 8th and Hennepin and that one in East 27th sometime later this morning. We'll keep you updated. Live this morning in downtown Minneapolis, Bailey Hurley, 5 Eyewitness News.
We begin this hour with breaking news this morning in this rash of violence in Minneapolis. 3 deadly shootings in less than 24 hours.
This includes one that was just in the past 3 hours here downtown. That's where Bailey Hurley is live now for us, walking us through what we've confirmed now about these 2 most recent cases, Bailey.
Brandy, Minneapolis police confirmed with us just a bit ago that one person has died here on the scene. We're on the 800 block of Hennepin Avenue here. Also, one person was hurt in this incident. Again, very active scene. You can see behind me. Let's roll some video so you can get a little bit of a closer look of what's going on here. We also know that police rushed here just about 2 o'clock this morning. Again, all we know is that they came here on a report of a shooting. What led up to this, if there are any suspects identified or any arrests that have been made, that is information that we are expecting to learn from police sometime later this morning, we're told. We're also expecting to learn more about another shooting that happened about 2 miles down the road from where we are right now. This off of East 27th Street and 3rd Avenue South. You can see in some of this video here, at least 20 evidence markers are littered across the ground, likely marking shell casings. You can also see officers really focusing in on a vehicle there at that scene. Investigators confirming they were called to that scene, again, this on 27th Street East, about 8 o'clock last night, saying at least one person there was killed by gunfire. At this hour, we are still working to learn, though, more about that victim and if there were any others. MPD investigators say that they are still working right now to determine, is this scene connected to that one from last night about 8 o'clock, or are both of these scenes or are one of these scenes connected to that shooting that happened yesterday afternoon? A lot still investigators trying to piece together. We are, again, expecting to learn more from MPD about this shooting as well as last night's shooting sometime later this morning. We'll let you know as soon as we know more. Live this morning in downtown Minneapolis, Bailey Hurley, 5 Eyewitness News.
Bailey, thank you.
Breaking news developments and the deadly Minneapolis shooting that we've been tracking for you all night. Within the last hour, police tell us a man stepped out of the vehicle and fired about 30 rounds from a high-powered rifle, leaving one dead and 6 others injured. All 6 of those injured are expected to survive. Chief Brian O'Hara says investigators are following strong leads. At this point, though, no arrests have been made. Tonight, Ben Henry is at the Hennepin County Medical Center with what we know about the victims. But first, Richard Reeve brings us the latest. Rich.
Lindsay, still a lot of questions, but that new information just in from police is giving us a better idea of how this all played out. Now investigators are working to figure out why the gunman pulled the trigger in the first place. Those moments all recorded from just feet away.
First thing I see is a whole crowd of people just standing. And then next thing you know, I hear at least 15 gunshots.
The man who shared this video with us didn't want his face shown. He says the gunfire along Clinton Avenue erupted in seconds.
I look down the street and I see somebody standing outside of their car, wearing all black with a big gun, just shooting at the crowd.
Leaving 1 man dead and 6 other people wounded.
Blood trail right here. They saw one person running this way that was shot, and the other person running that way.
MPD Chief Brian O'Hara says the shooter targeted at least one of the victims.
This level of firepower unleashed in broad daylight is completely sickening and unacceptable.
O'Hara says those injured are all expected to survive.
It's just frightening to know how there's shootings happening.
Nearby, Daisy Sanasada was picking up her brother from the Cristo Rey Jesuit school.
He just found out when school ended, but that's because he overheard people talking about it. And that, for me, it was worrying because I didn't know, my mom probably doesn't know.
Many here concerned about the safety of their children.
Well, shooting happen like that, man, that's very devastating, man. Early in the day like this, it ain't normal right here.
Now, police have not released any description of the suspect or the vehicle he was in, but they say they're pursuing strong leads. Richard Reeve, Eyewitness News on 45.
Right, let's hope so. We'll keep everyone updated. Rich, thank you. And just into the newsroom within the last hour, new information about the 7 people shot. Ben Henry is live outside HCMC in downtown Minneapolis, where they were taken today after this. And Ben, you spoke to a mother of one of the survivors.
Lindsay, she was with loved ones and was still basically in shock. She did describe the shooting as a rampage. As for her son, she said he has a long road ahead, as just a few hours after the shooting, he was in face surgery. He was one of 6 men who were shot in this, 7 total, because a woman was also hit. Police add that the man who died, along with another man with life-threatening injuries, were found at the scene. The rest of them ran as far as 2 blocks away from the shooting scene, trying to get to safety. All 6 survivors were brought to the hospital and are expected to survive. Still, the trauma and impacts will likely stay with them forever, given how violent this was.
From the shot spotter notification, we do not believe this to have been fully automatic. However, this was clearly a high-velocity .223 rifle. And certainly it's obvious from the injuries that people suffered here, just the significant damage that those types of rounds can do to the human body.
Police want to hear from you if you can help. As we've reported, as of tonight, no arrests have been shared with us. Lindsay, as we've also said, police do believe the shooter was trying to target one of those victims.
To this breaking news in Minneapolis, police are searching for a suspect in a deadly shooting happened just a few hours ago. A man is dead. 6 others are hurt in this after dozens of shots rang out.
Let's take a look at the area where this happened. It's just off of Lake Street and Clinton Avenue in the city's south side. It was 1:30 this afternoon, and police gave an update about an hour ago. Our Kamaria Bray is live at the scene. Kamaria, a chaotic scene in a busy area.
Yeah, and it is still a very heavy scene right now. Brian O'Hara, police chief, says that 7 people were shot. He describes this as sickening. And I'm going to step out so you can see just how much this police scene is right now. We are seeing investigators that are still picking up some of the pieces. We see several evidence markers Forensics are here. Several agencies are here. We've been talking to people in the community who have been coming up asking us if these are their family members. We do not know the names of those victims yet. But again, Brian O'Hara says this is sickening and that this happened next to a school. Around 1:30 this afternoon, a police shot spotter picked up 30 rounds of gunshots. Chief O'Hara says one gunman armed with a high-velocity rifle shot 6 men and a woman. One of those men is dead. Police say the surviving victims are expected to be okay. They were taken to the hospital with critical to life-threatening injuries. The victims were shot while on the sidewalk on Clinton Avenue. O'Hara believes the shooter targeted at least one of those victims. Listen to what the chief told us, and we also spoke to a witness who saw 4 of those victims and saw that shooter run off.
This level of firepower unleashed in broad daylight is completely sickening and unacceptable. Obviously, the investigation is still in its preliminary stages, so the information that I have is subject to change.
So you can see the blood trail right here. They saw them, one person running this way that was shot, and the other person running that way.
Yeah, and that was through a translator. We spoke to that man about what he witnessed. Now, police are still trying to find that gunman, but O'Hara says they do not believe there is a danger to the public right now, and this was all going on while Cristo Rey High School was happening. I'm Kamaria Bray, live in Minneapolis, 5 Eyewitness News.
My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N, O''H-A-R-A. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Good afternoon, and thank you all for your patience as we continue to gather the facts in this investigation into this truly unthinkable tragedy that happened here earlier today. I want to make sure that we are providing the most accurate information possible, particularly as we speak around our victims. At this point, we know we have a total of 19 victims from this tragedy. 2 were young children, ages 8 and 10. That were sitting in the pews at Mass when they were shot and killed. They were pronounced deceased on the scene. There were another 14 children between the ages of 6 and 15 that were injured by gunfire. There were also 3 adults in their 80s that were parishioners here attending Mass that were also shot in this incident. The families of all of the children that have been affected have been notified. The coward that shot these victims took his own life in the rear of the church. That coward has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, no prior criminal history. As to the weapons used to perpetrate this horrific attack, there was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. All 3 had been lawfully purchased by the shooter. At this stage, we believe that the shooter had acted alone. There is no indication of other suspects directly involved in carrying out this attack. Our investigators are working with other agencies in the process of executing 4 search warrants. 1 is for the church itself, where this crime occurred. The other 3 are residences nearby in the metro that are related to this shooter. Additional firearms are being recovered from those 3 residential locations as we speak. We are also aware of a manifesto that the shooter had timed to be released on YouTube. This manifesto appeared to show him at the scene and included some disturbing writings. That content has since been taken down with the assistance of the FBI, and it now remains under active review by our investigators. We know this community is reeling and is in pain. I want to ensure everyone in our community, this parish, all of the families affected, and all of our residents, that all of law enforcement collectively, local law enforcement, our county, our state, and all of our federal law enforcement partners have been here, and we are all working tirelessly to uncover the full scope of what happened, to try and identify a motive why it happened, and whether there are any other further details. We will continue to share updates as the investigation progresses. and we remain committed to being as transparent as possible while protecting the integrity of this investigation. In a moment, I will take some questions that I am able to answer, but first I want to bring up the principal of Annunciation School, Matt Du Bois, as well as, after him, the Archbishop, our Archbishop Bernard Hebda. Thank you, Archbishop. As I mentioned, obviously the investigation continues in its preliminary stages. I will take some questions now, and additionally, we will let you know when we can provide some updated information.
How are the injured students doing? What are their conditions at this point?
The question from Matt was, how are the injured students doing? I believe all of them have their parents with them now, and they are all expected to survive. All of the remaining victims are expected to survive. There is a range of injuries, however.
Chief, you said the weapons were acquired legally. Do we know when
Yes.
and where they were acquired?
I can tell you they were purchased recently.
Chief, can you tell us anything more about a possible motive here? We've also heard reports that the suspected shooter's mother was employed here at some point. Can you confirm that as well?
Okay. So the question was on a possible motive and a relationship to the church or to the school. I have no information to share on a motive other than saying again that there was some sort of manifesto that was timed to come out on YouTube. It's been taken down, and our investigators are going through that to try and develop a motive from that. Additionally, there are these 3 search warrants happening in residential locations, and we may very well, find more information or writings that could give some sense to that, but we don't have that now. And I cannot confirm a relationship between the suspect or his family and this church at this time, but that's obviously something we're looking very closely at.
Can you confirm at this point whether it was in fact by the suspect, or you believe at this point that it is in fact from him? And second question.
What was by the suspect? I'm sorry.
Manifesto that you've been talking about.
Yep. So the question was about the manifesto. We do believe it was by the suspect, yes.
And we understand that we've seen some documents about the name change that somebody with the same name as the suspect has filed for a few years ago.
Yep.
Do you believe this to be the same person, that Robin Westman was in fact born with a different name at this point? And can you speak a little bit more about the identity?
Yep. So the question was about the suspect, and he had a name change at some point in the past. I cannot confirm that other than confirming the identity, the name that I gave you, the age. That is the suspect. That's the person that we believe has caused this.
Chief, you mentioned these videos posted on YouTube, seemingly scheduled to be posted right after the shooting. Is there anything that the suspect posted days prior, months prior, that could shed any light on their mindset?
Yep. So the question was, we mentioned that the YouTube videos were scheduled to be posted. Is there anything else in social media that may shed some light into this? We do not have information on that at this time that I'm able to share. However, our investigators and our law enforcement partners are definitely looking at that.
How many children and parishioners were in the church when this happened?
So the question was how many children and parishioners were in the church when this happened. This was towards the beginning of Mass, so some of the children were already filed into the church and were seated. Others were coming in. I've heard estimates, but we will release a more definitive number.
Minneapolis police officers have had a couple of days. I know we're talking about the children.
Yep.
But there were several shootings yesterday.
Yep.
How is the resource thing going for you? Are you getting help from other places?
Yep. So Sue's question was resources for Minneapolis police due to the other challenges we've had the last 24 hours. Obviously, this has been the most difficult. The dozens of officers that responded to this scene, many of them are deeply traumatized by what they saw, as are obviously all of the children, all of the staff members, Father Dennis, everyone who was at Mass this morning. So obviously that has been our number one priority, is to care for the health and wellness of the officers and that responded here. Additionally, obviously, we have responded to other challenging situations and other acts of violence. I can say in regard to the shooting that happened outside of the high school yesterday, we have arrested 2 people for assisting in that shooting. We have not gotten the shooter yet, but we believe we have 2 people under arrest that were present with the shooter when that happened, and we're making significant progress. There was an additional arrest at a homicide last night that happened on the 2700 block of 3rd Avenue South. That person has not been booked specifically for being responsible for that murder, but we believe that is the person who caused that. So, no, unfortunately not. Yep.
A lot of the politicians here, principal and others, have said that this can never happen again. I'm just wondering if you have a suggestion for where we start to make sure it doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah, so the question was, where do we start to make sure this doesn't happen again? I don't have an answer for that at this time.
Chief, we understand from the federals that there is an idea that this might be investigated, maybe it already is, I'm not sure my information, as a hate crime against Catholics. I'm asking you, perhaps, Archbishop, is this a line of investigation that you have opened to comment on that?
So the question is this an investigation into a hate crime against Catholics? We don't have a motive at this time. Obviously, we're open to any possibilities at all, but we don't have a motive or anything to suggest that.
Do you know if there is any more safety, any more protective measures that are implemented at other Catholic schools throughout the Twin Cities or churches? I'm sure there are masses going around right now this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's just a week out from, or a few days before the start of school.
Yeah. So the question is the concern for other churches, other schools around the metro. Unfortunately, this is something that our community has been dealing with for some time. The threat of active shooters, the threat of hate crimes at houses of worship, unfortunately, is not something new here. And of course, our precinct inspectors, our crime prevention specialists are available to work with both houses of worship, churches, and schools that do reach out to assist in any additional security measures or advice that we can offer them.
Are you aware that this is the first time that actually a Catholic mass has been targeted and there have been victims inside the Catholic Church during mass? In the Twin Cities, not
in the Twin Cities?
I'm unaware of any other.
Yeah, from the the question was, is this the first time that there's been attack of Catholics at Mass in the Twin Cities area? The Archbishop is unaware of any other attack. The question was, is it being investigated by the FBI? Well, the FBI is here with us and has been a part of this entire investigation, as well as the ATF, other law enforcement. It's being led right now by the Minneapolis Police Department, and we are looking at, obviously, any possibilities from wherever the evidence will lead us from what we recover. Absolutely.
Thank you all again so much for your time today, for your support. Thank you.
Now, with breaking news, at least one person was killed in a shooting just this afternoon. Multiple other people were hurt. So this happened in Minneapolis along East Lake Street. We want to show you a video from the scene right now. Chopper 5 in the air. You see a large police presence out there. This is Lake Street and Clinton. It's a busy area right off of 35W, right there at that Lake Street exit. And there are multiple police cars on the scene. As we mentioned, crime tape is up, evidence markers. This happened really in kind of a broad area. It's around the area of Lake and Clinton, and it also goes back onto 29th. There's a school in this area. There you go. Let's show you this map of where this is happening. And there is a school right there in the area, high school, Cristo Rey Jesuit Catholic High School. Students are in session already. The school has already started. We are waiting for a news conference to start. That's why we are coming on with breaking news right now. Minneapolis police have set up in the area. The Minneapolis Police Chief O'Hara will be there in a moment to talk to reporters to explain what has happened. Our photographer on the scene captured what appears to be bullet holes in vehicle windows and shattered glass. And again, we are talking about at least one person killed here in Minneapolis and several people hurt in this. Multiple people have been shot. Our crew is working right now as they try to set up their set up out there with the police chief. He's going to be addressing this violence in Minneapolis. The police chief immediately after this happened sent out a release to news teams and let them know that they would be addressing this here. We are seeing right now, actually, we can pull up that video we have of the podium. We see the public information officer on the scene right now getting everybody ready. They're setting up microphones. No word yet on what exactly started all of this, but we have an issue there of multiple shots fired in the area, an area that is, again, a very busy area right off of 35W. Our reporter, Kamaria Bray, is live on the scene. And are we able to take Kamaria? Can she give us an update out there on the scene? There she is. Kamaria, can you fill us in on what is going on out there?
Hey, Leo, as you mentioned, we are waiting for Police Chief Brian O'Hara to come and tell everyone what is going on. I've been talking to people in this community, some who are witnesses, very shaken up. A man tells me he heard about 20 gunshots around 1:30 this afternoon. I'm going to step out the scene so you can, or step out the frame so you can look and see at the scene right now. We have the police chief that's going to be coming up pretty soon. But this is what a witness told me. He says he saw a woman who was shot in her arm. He saw that woman bleeding and she was running for safety. Again, that witness heard about 20 gunshots and saw other people that were also injured as well. And so some questions that we're going to be asking the police chief today is who this person is, if they have found who that shooter is, and what type of weapon was used. Was it an automatic gun? Because again, witnesses claim that they heard about 20 gunshots. Walking down, this is the public information officer for Minneapolis Police, who we're assuming will be getting Chief O'Hara pretty soon. And I'm hoping we can pan over to this car, over to our right, this van that has, the back of that, the glass is just shattered out. This is where a bullet had went through. And Leah, as you had mentioned earlier, Cristo Rey is around the corner. We did see a school bus pull up to the front, so it's unclear how this is impacting their school day. And we are having to be very careful where we walk as well. We are seeing drips of blood around this street here on Clinton Avenue near East Lake Street. So we're still waiting to get more information right now. Heavy police presence surrounding several areas here. But as I mentioned, the witness told me that he heard about 20 gunshots, very shaken up about what they saw. They saw a person that was bleeding. One person they believe was shot in the arm. Another person that they believe was shot in the head. And someone that was laying on the ground. Very graphic details, and we won't go too far into that, but we are going to be learning more information pretty soon. But again, police have told us that one person is confirmed dead and multiple people were hurt. That witness believes that there were 4 people that were shot in this. Leah?
Kamaria Bray out there on the scene. We want to ask you some questions. It sounds like it's an absolutely horrific scene out there. And this is a really busy area of Minneapolis. This is right where people are getting off of the freeway at 35W, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a lot of traffic going through the area. We see that they've blocked some of this off. Can you tell us more about what you're seeing on the impact on this area of Minneapolis?
We've had people come up to me and ask, do you know who these victims are? Is it my loved one? Is it my brother or my sister? The community is really concerned here. We're seeing people that are shaking, and you can really tell that they're just trying to get the answers just like we are.
Kamaria, I know you are watching to see if the police chief, O'Hara, is coming out there to talk to reporters to address this in the neighborhood. You talked about multiple people being shot, being hurt. And so far, we know that one person is confirmed dead. And of course, we're going to be waiting to get that update on that. You said you spoke to some people in the area and they talked about just the chaos out there.
Yeah, a man said that he was inside of a restaurant or he was eating nearby. Oh, O'Hara is coming up right now, but I'm going to keep talking until he goes to the podium. But he says that he heard gunshots, those 20 gunshots. He took cover himself and saw at least 2 people that were running. And I'm going to step out so we can see O'Hara. I know you're going to be changing the shot pretty soon, but we're going to be getting some of those answers coming up in just a few minutes.
Police Chief Brian O'Hara
Good
at the
afternoon.
microphone.
My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N-O''H-A-R-A. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Earlier this afternoon, our city experienced a deeply troubling act of violence. In the middle of the day, a gunman armed with a high-velocity .223 rifle opened fire on a group of people on the sidewalk on the block behind me, directly across the street from a Catholic high school. That gunman wound up killing one person and wounding 6 others that were standing on the sidewalk. This level of firepower unleashed in broad daylight is completely sickening and unacceptable. Obviously, the investigation is still in its preliminary stages, so the information that I have is subject to change. But what I can tell you is shortly before 1:30 this afternoon, Minneapolis police received a ShotSpotter notification that approximately 30 rounds of gunfire had been fired near the intersection of East 29th Street and Clinton Avenue. Police officers responded, finding one adult male who was deceased upon arrival. Additionally, there were 6 additional victims suffering from gunshot wounds, 5 males and 1 woman. These 6 victims were found at various locations in the area. 3 of those surviving victims were said to have critical and life-threatening injuries. However, I can tell you the most recent update I just received is that all 6 remaining victims are expected to survive. Our thoughts right now are obviously with the person who lost his life, with those who are trying to recover from their injuries, and with all those families and members of our community who have been affected. Thanks to the swift response from Minneapolis police officers, our investigators are pursuing strong leads at this time. We're thankful for the assistance that we've received from business and residents in the area. Our crime lab is here on the scene processing dozens of pieces of evidence that have been recovered, and we're doing everything we possibly can to identify those who are responsible for this violence. As your police department, we want all people in our community to know that we remain committed to doing everything we possibly can to reduce serious street crime while rebuilding trust with our residents. We will not stop until we can make every block in this city safe for all of our residents. But we cannot do that alone. Obviously, we need partners. So certainly, we are asking anyone else in the community who may have information about what occurred here to please come forward, even anonymously, because together we can continue to try and make Minneapolis safer for all people in our community. And with that, I'll do the best I can to answer questions that you have.
Do you have any idea the ages of any of the victims?
I believe all 7 victims are adults. I don't have their ages at this time. I think 1 or 2 may still be unidentified, but they're believed to be adults.
Where's the shooter?
The shooter fled the scene. We have substantial pieces of evidence that we are reviewing, and I feel confident that we will be able to identify this person.
Fled how?
Fled in a vehicle from the scene.
Chief, was this a random act, or can you tell us if this was intentional?
We believe, based on the manner that this shooting occurred, that at least one person standing in that group was clearly targeted. Yes.
Can you give a description of the vehicle?
We're not releasing that at this time.
All right, you are listening to Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara as he discusses as he called it, deeply disturbing act of violence in the city of Minneapolis today. This is on Lake Street and Clinton, a very busy area of Minneapolis, right off of 35W. There is a Catholic high school right there where this happened. The chief just saying now that there are 7 victims. 1 man has died. The others have serious or even critical injuries, but the 6 of them are expected to survive. They were all adults who were injured. The victims are all adults, and they are looking for a shooter. We just heard the police chief say that this shooter drove off and drove away. They think they have a good idea about how they can track this person and find this person. Our team is out there asking more questions right now.